The first time they called me the maid, it wasn't whispered. It was said out loud on a sunlit terrace overlooking rows of grapevines. I'd harvested for 20 years. I was carrying a wooden crate of freshly cut grapes, the weight pressing into my palms. My hands were stained deep purple, the color never quite washing out no matter how hard I scrubbed. My back ached the familiar way it always did at the end of harvest season, a dull reminder of decades of bending, lifting, and enduring. The Whitmore family stood nearby in crisp linen clothes, untouched by dirt or sweat, laughing easily as champagne glasses clinked in their hands. One of their guests, a man with polished shoes and a careless smile, pointed at me and asked, "Does the maid ever get a day off?" The laughter paused for half a second. No one corrected him. Not Mrs. Whitmore, who'd watched me raise her children while scrubbing her floors and cooking their meals. Not Mr. Whitmore, who used to thank me quietly when no one else was around. Not even their son Evan, who once clung to my skirt when he was little and called me Aunt Grace because I was the one who stayed up with him during fevers and nightmares. They just smiled and let the lie settle. I lowered my eyes, as I always did. I shifted the crate in my arms and walked past them without a word. Years ago, that moment might have burned with humiliation. But now, it landed differently. It felt final, like the closing of a door. That night, I stood alone at the edge of the vineyard. The air was cool, the moonlight brushing silver across the leaves. The wind moved through the vines like a slow, familiar song, one I knew better than my own heartbeat. I had planted some of these rows myself, pruned them, protected them through storms and droughts. I knew which vines bore sweeter fruit and which needed patience.
At 65 years old, something inside me finally snapped, not in anger, but in clarity. I thought back to the early days, when I arrived as a young widow with dirt under my nails and grief stitched into my bones. The Whitmores had needed help. I had needed work. Over time, temporary became permanent. Seasons passed. Children grew up. My name faded into Grace and then into the help. No one ever asked why I never worried about late paychecks. Why I never begged for raises. Why I stayed calm when they talked down to me or forgot my birthday or assumed I owned nothing beyond the clothes I worked in. They didn't know about the small inheritance my husband left me, carefully invested. They didn't know I'd quietly purchased parcels of land neighboring the vineyard when prices were low. They didn't know I'd spent nights learning contracts, zoning laws, and estate regulations while others slept. And they certainly didn't know that, hidden in a quiet lawyer's office miles away, paperwork was already moving documents that would change everything about the Whitmore estate. You see, vineyards don't thrive on appearances. They thrive on ownership, on water rights, on boundaries written in ink, not assumed by arrogance. The Whitmores owned the house. They owned the name. But they didn't own all the land beneath their feet anymore. Weeks later, when the letter arrived official, stamped, undeniable, the laughter disappeared. Meetings were called. Voices were raised. They searched their records, their memories, their confidence. And finally, they looked at me, not as the maid, not as the help, but as the woman holding the deed. They laughed when they called me the maid. They weren't laughing when they realized their vineyard now answered to me. Before we continue, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments from which part of the world are you listening to this amazing story. Because the day I stopped answering to Maid was the day I decided to become their landlord.